Sometimes I'm hot. Blah, blah, blah. His dad just died. Welcome back to another edition of What I Read. I'm Jace, she, they. Here at Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. This is everything I read from January 20th through the 26th. 2 of these were physical books, 2 of these were audiobooks, and the rest were ebooks. The first book I read was Double Apex by Josie, Juniper. I am entering my F1 era, and I got this book from my library. This book is about Phaedra and Cosmin. Phaedra is an engineer on her family's F1 team. She's an incredible engineer. She has done the work. This is not nepotism. She has earned her place here. And Cosmin is a new driver that they have brought on to their F1 team. Phaedra thinks Cosmin is a hothead, just a complete douche nozzle. And her animosity to him is starting to affect the rapport of the team. It's not good. It's on radio. It's being recorded and talked about in the F1 world. Their principal says, I'm done with this bullshit. You two are going to my house in Greece to make nice with each other, and you're gonna get over this. And if you thought that the burn was going to be fast because they were going to Greece, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. During the vacation, the 2 of them realize that they have more in common. They get to the heart of who each other is, and they build a begrudging, on Phaedra's part at least, a begrudging respect for the other. And they come back to the race circuit, and they are much better. They work well together, they're communicating better, they're building a better rapport. And with a better rapport comes the chemistry that they actually have. A lot of chemistry. Like a lot of chemistry. And so they start secretly hooking up / secretly dating. And the one thing I will say about this, I'm going to spoil this, sorry, it's a second act breakup. So if you hate a third act breakup as much as I do, there isn't a third act breakup. They break up in the second act. A lot of this book is them broken up. I get it. There are a lot of other circumstances. There is the death of a parent, not even off page, the dealing with it. Is this allowed? Are we allowed to date? Are we not allowed to date? How does this affect the team? How does this affect my job? How does this affect the environment that we're creating? Do we actually want the same things? Are we going to open up emotionally to each other? Because we have a lot of baggage that we've been dealing with or not dealing with, and we have to bring it forward. We have to address it within what's happening between the 2 of them. Phaedra is the TSTL one of this group. Phaedra definitely annoyed me with some of her life choices. I got it. I didn't agree with it. They didn't make me happy. I didn't root for her. I didn't root for these choices that she was making. But I did understand why they happened. I felt like how she handled it or how she got there or the expression of the choice was not what I would have wanted, but I did understand why in the moment she made those choices. The ending of this book, however, I felt slightly missed the landing. It didn't stick it. I wanted 5 to 10 more pages. It felt rushed. I wasn't able to sit in these 2 characters' heads for their experience. It felt like maybe Josie was like, shit, I gotta finish the book. Here's the action. But the action isn't why I'm in reading a romance novel. If I wanted only action, I'd watch a fucking movie. I want a romance novel so I can be in Phaedra's head for those 5 pages of what's going on and how I'm feeling and what am I seeing and what did it smell like and sound like and like what does my skin feel like in this moment. That's why I read a book, because I can get all of those on the page. Whereas in a screen, you have literal timing you have to handle, and I wanted those extra pages. I wanted that extra time in the climax, in the ending of this story. And I didn't feel like we got it. This is the first book in a series. The next book comes out over the summer. And so I'm curious to see what happens and if she's able to maybe pull that feeling out, pull that expression out in this next book, which we did establish. We did establish the characters and their relationship in the first book, so we know who it's about once we read the second book. Highlights. Again, on my phone, it's just easier to see. I do have note that the quips are gold. You have to get up pretty early in the morning to outsmart me. For you, I tell her, I'd stay up all night. It's great. Cosmin is disgustingly romantic. He's all in it. The inevitability of our love closes around me like I've fallen into a pool of it. There's some great lines in this book. The next two books I actually listened to. They were novellas in the Amazon Originals series, the Merry something something holiday ones. And I don't know if it's because I listened to these instead of reading them, but I did not like them. The first one was Merriment and Mayhem by Alexandria Bellefleur. I read The Fiancé Farce by Alexandria Bellefleur, and I don't know why I was expecting it to be a lot queerer than it was. I was just expecting more queer energy from this story. It's not that it's a bad story, but it's also the only one of the four that I've now read that has the meet cute as part of the story. And so while the meet cute was really adorable and fun, it didn't make sense that they would fall so hard so fast within the confines of a less than 100-page novella or short story. Everleigh is in her grandmother's house trying to sell it after her grandmother has passed. Unfortunately, she's also trying to relive childhood memories of Christmas time, including baking Christmas cookies, which she immediately sets on fire. And the fire department shows up. Yay, wonderful. Who should be a fireman but this guy named Griffin? Griffin is the sexy fireman, and he doesn't save her because she actually put out the fire with a fire extinguisher before they got there, but he does flirt with her. And through a series of other unfortunate events, like falling off the roof while trying to put on Christmas lights and almost drowning while trying to save people from a burning boat, they spend more time together and they build a rapport, and there is chemistry between the two of them. But by the end of the story, I didn't really believe that some of the big life decisions they made would have happened within that time frame. There's one spicy scene. It's pretty short. It's a short book. You really don't have much working for you. It didn't feel believable to me within this time frame, which is different than the next book, All by My Elf by Olivia Dade. This is not a meet cute story. There's an established friendship between Nina and William. They're both graduate students. They met each other. They know each other. They share a part-time job for this food company, and they go around doing little demonstrations. They have a lot of events over the holidays, so these two, along with a good friend and fellow coworker, are road tripping around for the holiday season in this job. Nina is somehow convinced that William is now dating the friend, the third friend, whose name doesn't even matter. There's no reason why she thinks that they're dating, other than they're whispering in the back while she drives. They haven't said they're dating. She's never seen them kiss or hug or do anything, but she just assumes that they're dating, which is devastating to her because she has a massive crush on William. Cool. That part to me made me so frustrated that I just thought, like, well, you don't deserve him. If you're going to be this ridiculous about him and his relationship with your friend, how can you trust him in the future? You gave him no trust now and you're not even dating. They end up getting snowed in on the highway, and they have to stay in the massive van-like thing that they are traveling around in. And they have this moment where they're lying, cuddled for warmth, where they confess their feelings. But by that point, I didn't really know if Nina deserved William, because it made me really, really mad. That's all. I liked the first two that I read, but these two that I listened to, and I don't know if it was a listening thing or I wouldn't have liked the stories regardless, but they just did not hit as hard for me as the other two. And I don't have any notes because it's an audiobook. The next book I read is Temple of Swoon by Josie. This is her sophomore novel to Raiders of the Lost Heart, which I loved. And I don't know, this one was good, but Raiders of the Lost Heart had so many tropes that I love and so much ooey gooey tension. This one did not live up to it. It is, I think, maybe the only time where I've thought to myself, if they didn't make out then I think it would have been better. I know. I'm just as shocked as you are. Miri is connected to Corey from Raiders and the Lost Heart. They work together, and Miri is supposed to be joining Corey and Ford on an expedition for the next big adventure. She accidentally misses the bus to the teeny tiny town she's supposed to go to, and someone else does too. When she looks over, it's a hot dude. She must meet the hot dude, but I'm too flustered to meet the hot dude. And there's some really nice banter, I will say. So the two of them end up taking a cab together because they miss the bus, and they get there, they think they're strangers, they're gonna meet up, they're gonna have this one-night stand, only to discover that the stranger that she just took a cab with is also on the expedition with her. His name is Rafa. He's a journalist, And he's been sent there by his father to thwart this whole adventure because he's descended from the line of native peoples who are protecting this heritage site. It's a pretty cool story if you think about it. Miri and Rafa, once they discover that they're going to be working together, and also once more hijinks ensues and Corey and Ford can't be there, so Miri takes over as one of the co-leads of this expedition, they decide, no, we can't let any of that tension, any of that chemistry happen. And I wish they'd held out longer. It would have just added a little bit more to the will they won't they. You know the moment in Bridgerton, it's after the wedding has failed and Kate and Anthony, they're shooing the dog and then they stand up and their noses are close together and they have that moment. I wanted more of that. This book wasn't bad, but I think because the tension wasn't as tight, it didn't feel like as big of a release when it happened. Also, comparing it to Raiders of the Lost Heart is not fair because the tropes in this book are not that they're bad, they're just not personally the tropes that I go feral for. So it's work-placed, it's forced proximity. They're not enemies, but they have opposing intentions in the midst of this story. There's also a little bit of suspense in the adventure. There's some running through the woods. It was a lot of fun. I love the history. I love her banter. And I love her. Jo Segura is super fun. I've gotten to see her a few times. This book was great. I just liked Raiders of the Lost Heart first. Honestly, if they weren't so interconnected time-wise, one before the other, I would say read this before Raiders, but it won't make sense if you do it the other way around. In terms of things that I loved, Ray Henley, first thing. Miri is also, I feel like, oh, she's not like other girls. She's like super awkward and weird and like drops everything. I'm kind of over that trope. She is a badass. She can take care of herself. So I wish they didn't have so many of those fumbling moments with her. But anyway, this is from Rafa. He smiled at her utter adorkableness. It's a good line. New rule, choose non-injury inducing sabotage. It's a good rule, Rafa. The next book I read is this one. I read it. I read it immediately. Actually not. I was in the middle of the previous book. I did not read this immediately. I'm not going to talk about it more than to say, fundamentally, I feel like at the end of this book, nothing has changed between this one and the end of Iron Flame. That's it. They're the same thing in terms of the big drama of the world and kind of in terms of the drama between the two main characters, Violet and Xaden. And there are more books coming. Do you have to read it right now? No. The next book I read was an arc of The Shots You Take by Rachel Reed. This is my first Rachel Reed book. It is an older, former hockey player, friends to lovers, second chance. There are a lot of tropes in this one. Riley and Adam were best friends and teammates on a Toronto hockey team. They also were secret lovers. They had a massive falling out shortly after Adam got married, and Riley transferred to a different team, had a horrible mental breakdown, and left hockey. It has been a decade since they've seen each other, I think more, and Riley's dad has just passed away. Adam, in the intervening years, has come out as gay, told his wife they are divorced. He's not publicly out, but privately he is out, and hears through the grapevine that Riley's dad passed. So he goes to the tiny town in Canada where Riley has retired to and has been living in order to give Riley the support that he really feels he needs and that he hasn't been able to give for the last 10 years. It is so heartbreaking. These two men have hurt each other so much over the years with the secret dating and the hiding and the way that it all ended and then the not speaking. But Adam is there to stay. Adam wants Riley back in his life in some way, shape, or form. Riley has missed Adam, even though he is heartbroken over the end of that relationship. Adam says, I'm going to stay and help you through whatever it is. Do you need me to help you in the sporting goods store that you and your dad had and ran? Do you need me to help rearrange it? Do you need me to clean? Do you need me to bring you food? And Riley eventually says, Adam, you cannot stay on the terrible beds in the inn that nobody uses. You have a bum shoulder. You will need surgery on soon. You can come stay with me. So they eventually are staying together in this house. They are spending time together, and the connection that they have didn't go away. It's been buried by both of them underneath a lot of hurt and anger and time, and they have to decide whether or not they're going to let it out and let it evolve and grow and breathe. Adam has a lot of things he has to apologize for with regards to how he treated Riley. Riley has things to apologize for, how he hid his true feelings and wasn't able to live authentically. And then ultimately, these two adults, they're in their 40s, they're not young kids, have to decide whether the relationship that they could have is worth the effort and the life changes and the things that they will go through to be together. Do they want the same type of life anymore? And that's a really adult question that when you're in your early 20s or new adultish, you're not thinking about. You don't have the baggage, you don't have the established life that you do in your 40s. Adam has children and an ex-wife and a house and a reputation. Riley has a home and a business and family ties that keep him there. He's built community out there. Watching the two of them deal with not only the pain of the loss of Riley's dad, but the reckoning between them about the loss of their friendship, and then the emotions that they have regarding one another and the love that they have for one another still, and how are they going to move that forward, if they even want to move that forward. It is a really beautiful thing to watch, and I thought that Rachel Reed did a great job with it. I always want more spice, but the spice that spiced was good spice. I'm intrigued to see like what the rest of her hockey world looks like. She does a lot of queer hockey, so this is not the first for her. This is a long line of queer hockey, and it was really great to get to read this ahead of time. It's not an interconnected standalone at this moment. It might become part of a future series, but if you look at her back catalog and don't know where to start, this is a great place to start because it is on its own within her writing. The last book I read was Bondage Buddies by Golden Angel. This is book 1 in a long series that just completed, so you can finish the whole thing. What this series, or at least this book in the series, is short, 250 pages at the most. And I do wish that we got a little bit more. I wish it was closer to that 300 page mark because there were a few moments that felt a little rushed, or I wish we'd gotten some more time in. The series as a whole is interconnected standalones, and I wonder if as I watch the series, as I go through the series, will I feel more satisfied with book 1 because I know there are going to be side characters in the rest of the series. I don't know the answer to that. I only know this book, which is about Domi and Mitch. Mitch is an established dom at this kink club. There's the fancy one and then the normal, like the less fancy one, the kind of plebeian one. And Mitch is a dom. He's a group of friends at the club, and he helps with the classes for both doms and subs who want to participate and be a part of this club, this community. Domi was in the sub class, and they didn't really interact in the class, but Mitch is looking for essentially a fuck buddy, but for bondage. A bondage buddy, literally in the title, and says, hey Domi, we got along. I think you're great. I'm really attracted to you. I think our kinks mesh. Would you be my bondage buddy? Now, Domi is a single mom. She got pregnant off a one-night stand, a very short thing, but she co-parents really well with her baby daddy. And she has this daughter. She also is busy. She works. And so the idea of a boyfriend, of a relationship, she doesn't have time for that. She doesn't have space for that. But someone who's going to get her rocks off and get her kink going, that appeals to her. Now the two of them start to play, they engage in scenes, they are building this relationship over months, and Domi realizes that if, at a certain point, you know what, I'm developing feelings, I need to back off, because we agreed no feelings, I'm feeling them, you don't want feelings, we agreed no feelings, we have to break up. Mitch is so devastated by this that all of his friends go, dude, of course you like her. You should go get her. And he goes and pursues her. Mitch has his own baggage around relationships and kind of this back and forth, on again, off again that he's witnessed through his parents. He ends up believing or creating this idea in his head that because he and Domi have kink, they'll be safe. They'll be communicating. They won't have to go through the agony that he's watched his parents go through over the years of on again, off again, together, not together. Is it emotionally healthy? No. Are there people in kink who aren't capable of handling a relationship in an adult manner? Absolutely. But this is what he tells himself. And they come up against some family things. Mitch dealing with Domi and her child and her parenting situation, Domi coming up against Mitch's relationship hangups. As I said, it felt really short. It felt like we didn't get a ton of time to sit in the feels. There was a little too much, we got to get to the next plot point for me. Were they bad plot points? No. Do I feel like I want to read it again? No. I might go back to the scenes. The scenes were fun. But in terms of the plot, in terms of the relationship that they built, I wanted more time. I wanted to see them really work for this relationship and have it build outside of the scenes so that I could watch them do that emotional work. That will make me believe they're in it and they're going to last in the long run. This is part of a larger series, so watching them interact over the course of the 8 or 9 books might change my mind. But when I finished with that book, I didn't really feel satisfied. It's like Fuck Buddies, but with kink. I will say that the kinks hard in this book. Golden Angel does not pull punches when it comes to the kink. And while, of course, books are always going to be a little fantastical in what happens, I felt like there was a lot of good negotiation and planning, not just negotiation for what they wanted overall, but negotiations for scenes, things that they wanted, what was happening in the moment. So if you're looking for something that has a really good representation for kink, I think this series might be exactly it for you. And it's not billionaires. None of them are billionaires kinking. Mitch is a nurse in an ER. Like, they're normal humans. So if you're sick of billionaires being the only people who have access to sex clubs, this might be a really good one for you. It might also be like the ending. Both of them aren't great. Both of them do dumb things, which I think is valid in terms of a relationship. But if you're both going to do such dumb things, especially around communication, then I want to see more groveling and more apologies and more work towards building a relationship I think is going to be sustainable. And that is what I read from January 20th to 26th. I hope that you enjoyed this little recap. If you read or listened to any of these books, let me know in the comments. What did you think? Did you agree with me? Did you not agree with me? As long as you're respectful, the comments are all good. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Like and subscribe if you want to see what I read next week. And as always, this is Jace holding space for you.